What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with some more fantasy football content. Today I'm talking my busts. Now, these don't mean I'm not taking these players anywhere, but I'm not taking them at their ADP because there's other players I think have more upside. I feel like these guys are really more of fades than busts, to be honest with you, because I think some of these guys are pretty safe, but I'm going to take for more upside at some different spots in the draft, things like that. I'll explain my reasoning for all these picks. But let's hop into it. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. QB League winners, running back league winners, wide receiver league winners, all on the channel. Values. This video, bringing out players I'm targeting every draft, dropping soon. In-season content as well. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, comments. I will respond as always, and it helps out the algorithm. So our first guy who I am fading in drafts is Dak Prescott. Now, the reason being, I don't think Dak Prescott has a ton of upside left in him. Honestly, I think guys like Tua with 8.9 yards per attempt last year has more upside. I like Kirk Cousins more, Geno Smith, even Jared Goff at his ADP. I would prefer to Dak Prescott just going currently. Not saying that necessarily Dak can't be a top 10 quarterback, but I don't see Dak returning and being the quarterback 5 by any means. I think there's other guys with more upside. Even Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins could have a top 5 finish this year. I don't see that happening for Dak Prescott. Let me break down some of my reasoning. Last year, he had 15 interceptions in 12 games. That's quite a bit of interceptions. Also, I don't believe he's going to have the same rushing upside that he has had in recent years. We saw back when he was having those top quarterback finishes. He was running the ball a lot more. I think that Dallas, now that Kellen Moore is out of town in general, is just going to run the ball more, period. They've already talked about that, wanting to run the ball more, all of those things. Now, one point I will give Dak that I just think is fair. I do think he has better weapons this season than he had last year. Tony Pollard out of the backfield's a weapon. CeeDee Lamb's an absolute stud. Michael Gallup, Brandon Cooks, I think can be a good 2-3. But again, like I said, I just feel like this offense might not be headed in the best direction where it is currently. I think losing Kellen Moore, they finished top 6 all 3 of those years. You could say it was the guys around him, but I think the system had a lot to do with it. And again, I don't think this stops Dak Prescott from being a quarterback 1 for fantasy. It just stops me from taking him in drafts because of where I think his upside is for him to finish. There's just guys I'd rather take. Even Aaron Rodgers doesn't have as much rushing upside. I think Dak Prescott is a safer player, but I think Aaron Rodgers' upside is still higher than Dak Prescott's is. Moving on to our next player, going to the running back position. I think this one might shock some people. It is none other than Pittsburgh Steelers running back Naji Harris, currently going as the RB9. That's just too high for me to take him in drafts. Now, again, I think Naji Harris is just about as safe a bet to finish as an RB1 as you can get. But I think it's going to be a back-end RB1. When we saw him finish his running back 4 in his rookie year, he caught an absolute ton of passes from Ben Roethlisberger, who was just checking down to him consistently. He had a 14-reception game. With Kenny Pickett now in town, I don't see any of that happening. Now, obviously, I'm still Jonathan Taylor, not taking Jonathan Taylor over Naji Harris. But would I take Ramondre Stevenson, a Joe Mixon over him? Yes. Even if I am just aiming for upside, a Jahmyr Gibbs later. Now, would I take Jahmyr Gibbs over Naji Harris straight up? Probably not, and it probably depends a lot on my roster. But there's multiple players later in the draft that I'd rather take. And you guys spend basically a second-round pick on Naji Harris where he's currently going in drafts. Now, is he going to get a ton of volume? Is he going to get a decent amount of catches? All these things are true, but that offensive line hasn't been great. Now, they should be improved from where they were last season, but Naji Harris has been under 4 yards a carry both years of his career. Pulling up the stats just to... But yeah, you see that 3.8, 3.9, 74 receptions at rookie year, 41 this previous season. And Jalen Warren's looked excellent. Now, I still think Najee's going to be the guy. I still think if you start 2 wide receivers, you get Naji Harris in the 3rd round. There's a certain degree of certainty that you get there, but I'd rather take a Ramondre Stevenson, who I think will catch more passes, be a more efficient running back, averaged 5 yards a carry last year, caught more passes, and has a chance for his offense to bounce back in a major way as well. I think the New England offensive line is better there personally. I'm not afraid of Ezekiel Elliott. Joe Mixon is a pass-catching running back on a great offense who has a devoid depth chart around him. Both those guys I'll be taking over Naji Harris personally in my drafts. Now, another running back I'm fading a little bit, and I like the talent of this guy. It's really just more of a this season type of deal. Javonte Williams currently going as the RB23. Now, the reason I'm really fading him is just because 2 main factors. The knee injury was pretty major last year, and yeah, he's back, and all that stuff looks great. It's not that Javonte Williams can't be good for fantasy football, but I think I would take a James Conner, Rachaad White, who I know is going to get all the workload. I think Javonte will split with Samaje Perine. They've already talked about him being on a pitch count to start the season. I want my running backs to start the season fast. Also, that Denver offense just hasn't looked very good this year. In general, another player, I think I would take an Alvin Kamara later and wait to 3 games. David Montgomery, I think he'll have a better role in Detroit. I think Khalil Herbert, I prefer in Chicago. I think he'll be the guy there. I think he has more upside than Javonte does. Now, will I be all over Javonte next year? Absolutely. But if you look at the data, running backs coming off a major ACL injury normally don't return on their ADP, normally don't have their best year for fantasy. Obviously, Adrian Peterson's done it, and Javonte is somewhat young. I mean, he is a young player. That's not somewhat, but he is young. But still, there's just other backs and better situations I think I would be taking over Javonte Williams currently. So those are some players that I am fading in drafts. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'll be dropping more content. So like I said, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. And if you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. This has been Fantasy Joe. Thank you guys for watching.